Hey, how you doing? This is Arthur Wu, and today I'll be doing a comparison between Keynote Technics LCDVF and Zacuto's Z-Finder. They're two viewfinders for photo and video that I've been working with and using for some time now. So I've had the opportunity to put both of them through their paces through a variety of different types of shooting conditions, from corporate shoots to music videos, all the way to landscape photography. And I just want to share my experience with you if you're trying to make a decision on which one to go with. So keep in mind that these are just two viewfinders out of the many that are on the market. But these two represent very different entry points, both with respect to build quality and the price itself. Now, this isn't going to be a technical specs review to see which one edges out the other, because I really think each one shines for certain uses. So what I'd like to touch on is the practicality of using these two viewfinders in different shooting situations. So either way, I think using a viewfinder is an essential tool for both photographers, videographers, and filmmakers, especially if you find yourself shooting in daylight a lot, or if you're using a shoulder or tripod rig. So these viewfinders are used to magnify the image of the LCD screen, as well as shield out the external light so you can see what's happening on your screen. Now, I find these two viewfinders do a pretty comparable job in that respect. I haven't really noticed that I prefer one over the other as far as the magnification goes, because they both do a very similar job. So the Z-Finder, however, does have a built-in diopter to adjust for people whose visions is slightly off by 20/20. But if you have perfect vision or you wear glasses, then it's not really going to matter. So let's go more in depth into each of these viewfinders. I'll start with the LCDVF first. This is the first viewfinder I've owned, and I've had it for about 2 years now, and it retails for about 125 USD. I've used it for both photo and video, and the one area that I found the LCDVF to excel in is portability. So even though it's slightly taller than the Z-Finder, it's slimmer in profile overall by 2/3 of the size, I believe, and it fits into pockets pretty easily. So when you're on the go and you need to pack up quickly, you can just throw it into the back of your pants pocket or a jacket pocket, and it doesn't feel like it's taking up a large amount of space. So it actually comes with a pouch that you can easily clip to a backpack, which is really convenient for traveling. You just throw it on a travel backpack and you go with it. And I usually use this for mostly photography situations. So it does come with a lanyard, which something you put around your neck. And I don't really use it just because it's kind of a cheap piece of cloth, sort of, and I feel like it's going to snap at any moment that I use it, so I don't bother with it really. A couple of the other areas that I wish the LCDVF was a little bit better in is the build quality and the strength of the connection between the camera and the viewfinder itself. So being in a lot of run and gun situations, as well as nature quite a bit, sometimes when I let the camera hang from my neck with the camera strap, or if I put it down because I have to reach into my bag to grab something, the strength is relatively weak because of the magnetic connection that's on here. It's come off quite a few times just from little bumps here and there, and sometimes the magnet collects little dirt off the ground. One other thing I have to mention is the quality of the eyepiece here. After about a year of use, it just came off, and I could tell it was glued on. So here you can see I've used some gaffer's tape to make it stay on, and it works fine now, and I'm not going to mess with it, but the build quality might be a little suspect from my experience just using it in also just shooting conditions. So let's compare that with the Z-Finder. Anyone who's ever held this thing will know that it was built to last. It's pretty bomb-proof, but it also runs around 350 USD. It's a little more heavy, but it feels really durable, and the connection between the Z-Finder and the camera's LCD is a little bit more solid. Actually, I should say much more solid than the LCDVF. There have been times when I've accidentally bumped into it while it was connected to my camera, but it stays on quite a bit more versus the LCDVF, which comes off at the slightest bump, it seems like. One thing that I really like about this is the eyepiece that comes with the Z-Finder. This actually opens up, and you can actually view inside the LCD from there. And this prevents sunlight from getting in and actually burning your LCD screen off, as well as protecting the layer from just scratches overall. So when you throw it into a bag, you don't have to worry about the glass getting scratched there, which is something that the LCDVF doesn't have. It's not as slim in profile as the LCDVF, so it doesn't fit into the back pockets of your pants or to your jacket as easily. So which one would I recommend? Well, I would say it really depends on what you're shooting. If budget is your main concern, then the LCDVF is going to be a great option because it's more than $200 less than the Z-Finder and does a very similar job. If build quality, warranty, and the exceptional customer service that I've experienced with Zacuto is more important to you than the actual price, then the Z Finder is the one for you. As I said, it's pretty much rock solid. And it's built to be modular with the other Zacuto products, such as the EVF and so on and so forth. So if you're going down that route where you need to use an EVF on the shoulder or a tripod rig, then this is a no-brainer. The Z Finder can also be put on the back of the camera for run and gun situations, and then onto the EVF for shoulder rig or tripod work. They just really thought out the whole workflow really well. So one other thing is, if you're in harsh weather conditions, you're going to want to stay with the Z Finder because it's more durable. I have a friend who works at Burning Man. Each year he does media for them, and he uses a Z Finder. And in those harsh weather conditions, it makes sense to have something that's really durable. A lot of dust, a lot of heat, a lot of sun, so it makes sense to go with this. So as for me, I use the Z Finder the most of the time for the video, but for photography, I use the LCDVF for the reasons I mentioned earlier, for portability and so on and so forth. So another thing I want to make a note of is the adhesive frame that you get with each one of these units here. You really want to be careful with the ones that you choose because you'll probably be standardizing on that for a little while since you're essentially gluing the frame onto the camera's LCD screen. So long term, that'll be another condition or consideration, I should say, before you actually choose one of these viewfinders. So Zacuto actually does offer a base plate on the bottom of the camera that you can connect, which bypasses that whole adhesive piece. But that may add more pieces to your camera if you're trying to be light and be run and gun. So that's another consideration. So that's my comparison to show you to what these viewfinders, to show you what these two viewfinders can do, and hope it helps you make a decision on which one is right for you. So remember, there are many more than these two on the market, but from my personal experience, I've used both of these, and I've found that these work great in all sorts of shooting conditions. If you have any questions, just post them below, and I'll try to answer them. And for more reviews, subscribe to this channel, and check out arthurwu.com. All right, guys, peace.